Started in e-commerce just because I thought that things could be quite a lot better. So I saw quite a lot of agencies out there that were trying to do absolutely everything under one roof, and that was kind of their big sell. But I kind of didn't feel like that was that great because they never seemed to really do very much. And sort of having a couple of brands of my own in the past, it just, any time that we dealt with stuff like that, it just felt difficult. So I wanted Imaginaire to just be quite specialist instead and go, right, we're going to do design and builds because that's sort of where we have a lot of control, and then going into the SEO and paid side of things as well, but not covering things like social, not covering things like email marketing where we're not experts. So yeah, it was kind of that really. Well, I was working at another agency at the time, and I was getting sent on quite a lot of sales calls with the sales reps. I was in sort of the fulfillment team, and I just kind of, again, like felt like they didn't really know what they were talking about. A lot of the time they'd make crazy promises to clients and stuff like that that we knew that they wouldn't be able to fulfill on. So for me, I just kind of thought, well, if I'm okay at speaking to people and stuff like that, I may as well do this for myself. So that's kind of what I did. I started off, and we dealt with anyone and everyone at that point. We were just trying to bring in revenue. So yeah, it's just we were dealing with all sorts of small businesses and stuff like that. I started building websites when I was 14. I started learning to code then. So I was going out and playing football with my mates all evening, and then getting home and then staying up till like 3 or 4 in the morning coding. I didn't do them for clients, obviously. I just had my own ones and stuff, which I cringe at when I see them now. But yeah, then from there, I went to college and stuff like that. I actually dropped out of college to be a double glazing salesman because I was convinced that I was going to be a millionaire from it, which obviously didn't happen. So I did that for a little while, worked in wholesale sales as well, sort of more B2B. And then I decided to go back to uni. I did events management in Leeds for a little bit. Pretty quickly discovered that there weren't that many jobs in that role, in that realm. So I kind of decided that actually I was going to move back to Notts and finish my degree at Trent, and then I did business management and entrepreneurship, and then left uni, worked for a few different places for a little bit, worked at another agency as an SEO, and then like I said, I just had the itch. Like I knew from an early age that I wanted to have my own business and stuff like that, and so I just thought, why not? I think I was 25 at the time. My wife was absolutely horrified at the time that I told her I'd given my notice and I had like next to nothing in savings, but yeah, we've not really looked back. It's just been really good. And I think all those skills, weirdly, like from learning to sell and stuff like that, but in a nice way, I think that's just really helped us out. So I can carry on doing that for quite a long time. So yeah, it was that really. The human-led tech-enabled model of Imaginaire emerged because we used to deal with everyone and anyone, and we kind of just dealt with restaurants, hotels, stuff like that. Never really had a set way of doing things. So every campaign was different. We'd start it up as if it was new, which is great to an extent, but it's not really scalable. And it's not easy then to offer clients a promise basically of this is how we can do for you. So we started doing e-commerce after about 6 years, and we said we're going to focus down on that. And then my kind of principles really have always been I'd rather hire senior people because they already know what they're doing to an extent. So we can then obviously train them into our sort of processes and stuff like that, but we get their knowledge as well, and we sort of absorb that. So we had that already, and we were kind of we were floating around with the different positioning ideas that we wanted to use to attract more bigger brands and stuff like that. And we were going with the human-led agency, but again, it just didn't feel, it felt too fluffy to me. So then I was thinking about what we actually do, and because I'm a developer as well, I often build tools. Like if the staff say, oh, I'm doing this X, Y, and Z, I do it 5 times a day, and it takes me ages to do it. I have to dig through data, whatever. I'll often think, well, can I write a script for you to do that? And can I bring that through to you? So it's just presenting you stuff. So with that, I kind of thought, well, actually, that's what we're doing. We're merging senior people and technology, getting them working together. And it doesn't matter so much for local businesses where they've got maybe 10 pages on the website, because you can do that manually quite easily. But if you've got an e-commerce store with 20, 30, 40, 50,000 products on it, there is no way you're getting somebody to optimize all of that. So that's where we bring in our technology to go, right, okay, we're going to sit a senior exec on it. They're going to create the 12-month strategy. And then from that, we're going to work out the leverage points that we can automate things. And that's kind of where that came from, really. It just felt like we could deliver a lot more impact for clients, which we have, still be in the ballpark in terms of price and stuff, but actually deliver a hell of a lot more than they'd get from other agencies. And I think that's quite a unique spot for us because I'm the developer and stuff, and we've got a development team in-house. Well, I think the model matters for multi-sku brands where they've got a lot of products and a big product catalogue, because although you do want to automate things as much as possible, I think everybody has learned from things like Google Performance Max that actually when you let the algorithms run wild, you'll often be selling things that you make next to no margin on because it reports revenue. So it's not looking at the profit you make on a product line. And I think actually you still need that human element. I think you want somebody that's experienced to be looking at your business essentially, because an e-commerce store is people's whole business. and then going, do you know what? If I was you and I know this product line is really profitable, I can research the keywords around that and I can see that there's a big market there, but you're just not tapping into it. So I think that's where it's really important. And that's why I wanted to bring it in for people like that. I think the experience early on that validated that the approach worked was when we took on a store that had, I think they had 25,000 SKUs or something like that. And I remember just being sat there and thinking, we've got all these things that we've built and they were very messy. They weren't in a nice, like visible sort of dashboard or anything like that. It was all kind of one-off scripts that we could run and stuff like that. And then I was looking at it and I was like, do you know what? If we actually put this in front of an executive and made it so that they were being presented with things and they could tick a box and go, yeah, I'm happy with that, or it gave them the thought to ignite what they were going to do, that's a really powerful thing. And then we integrated it for them and we found things like just really niche areas, like with a color variant before a product category. And then we listed that, automated it to pull products in automatically going forwards. And the amount of traffic we grew from it was insane, and especially the revenue side. So I think that just validated it quite early on to go, do you know what, we can do this. We can create 15 sub-collections per month, if not more, really easily. They'll rank in search. We can run ads at them. We can do the rest of it and we can generate revenue. So it's really easy to close the loop on basically, we've had this idea. This is what we want to do with it. This is how we're going to do it. And then a month down the line, this is how much revenue it's producing already. And we can see that over 12 months. So I think that's what validated it really. So I think Shopify's platform made me think about performance a little bit differently just because of the depth of analytics we can get. So we can literally speak to a client that if they a retailer that sells other brands, basically, we can really clearly see in a peak month what we used to have with platforms like Magento and WooCommerce is trying to find the actual data behind which supplier is selling well was really difficult. So we might have this peak month in, say, a November time, and it'd be ramping up and it'd be doing crazy numbers. And then maybe January slows down a little bit. But what we didn't see was the full picture. So we didn't see that actually this supplier's dropped off completely or this supplier's absolutely pumping, that's doing really well. It was really hard to sort of mix and match that data, whereas Shopify has all of those reports in it. So that's why we used to be a WooCommerce specialist agency. We moved away from that probably 3 years ago just because we just saw, it sounds really corny to say it, but we saw the light with Shopify and we just saw that there was just such a better way to run e-commerce stores where we could go, do you know what, we can act on that data. We can, as a marketing team as well, see what's selling, see what's doing really well, and then make sure that we're replicating that going forward. And if not, we can get in at an early stage and go, do you know what, this brand isn't selling very well. What's happened? Have we lost the ranking for it? Are ads not serving to it? Like there's so many questions that come off the back of it where with WooCommerce and Magento, you're just pretty much looking at revenue. You're not breaking anything down. So that's why we sort of look at Shopify as the platform of choice, really. So I think I first realised automation focused agencies were kind of like failing e-commerce, if I'm honest, because we saw quite a lot, and I don't know if you've seen them, but there's like loads of kind of influencers on like X and stuff like that, where they're always the same type. They're like these alpha male sort of types that are like banging on about it all the time, and they're saying you can get up and running with this type of business within 30 days, and it's always these like outlandish claims, and then they actually go to do it. And fair play to them, they'll sell it, they'll create revenue. I'm all about entrepreneurship, but I also believe if you are selling something, you should firmly believe in it and be able to produce what you say you're going to do. And we've seen it time and time again where people have been burnt by somebody that's charismatic. They've got on a call with them. They thought, I really like this person. I think they're going to be great for us because they're enthusiastic. 3 months down the line, they've realised they've outsourced the work. Nothing's done to a standard. They don't check anything. Nothing's like done very well. And it's all just bog standard ways of doing things. So actually they'll see the revenue dip or it just stays steady. And actually, we've just seen that so many times, especially in the last year. I don't know what happened a year ago, but it seems like all these people just popped up out of nowhere. All these courses came out, stuff like that. And yeah, we've just seen it where clients have come to us and just exasperated, to be honest. And you feel a bit sorry for them where they're like, we thought they were going to do brilliantly for us. And actually, our sales are down 50% year on year. Like we've had to cut staff. There's like real world impacts to that. And I think the automation side, especially, I think people just kind of think they could open up a Shopify site or a site in general, layer an automation into it with an app or something like that and just let it run and it'll just do the job. And I think that's what a lot of these people are selling because they don't want to put the labor into it. But I think actually that's where we come in, where we actually recognize, no, you need an amount of time with a senior executive still because they're going to guide that and they're not going to go in there and just switch something on, leave it for 6 months and hope it works. They're going to do stuff that they're validated. They're going to test it. They're going to close the loop in terms of seeing what the results were off the back of it. So yeah, I think probably when I first saw them starting to fail was about 12 months ago, but I think that's just picked up ahead of steam, and like the last 3 months have just been crazy. I think especially just obviously come through Black Friday, and we've had a few brands getting in touch just like it was a disaster. So yeah, I think that's when we sort of spotted it.